since 1930 that dates back to. This was all sorts of calamity on the back end for the Bears, and the offense that came under question against the Green Bay Packers defense in week 1. No such issues here in week 2 as Goff and the Lions roll. All right, 50 burgers in Lions history over the last 2 seasons, 3 times. And yes, you could thank Ben Johnson for some of that scheme in those first 2, but the scheme is alive and well with Johnson in Chicago and the Lions on top. Back in studio with the guys, as I will once again recuse myself from this conversation. But Bryant McFadden, I'm interested in your thoughts here on, again, response in week 2 being the operative term for many teams coming off losses. Detroit, I'm not sure you could ask for much more if you're this offense going up against your former OC.
You know what? When we look at playoff caliber teams with championship aspirations, and seeing a letdown in week 1, we want to see a bounce back game for week 2. If you claim to be that type of organization that has a sticky Lombardi aspirations, we need to see you bounce back. And that's what we saw of the Detroit Lions. Their offense looked like the offense that was under Ben Johnson. I mean, what they came out and did today was dominate from start to finish. Jared Goff was wheeling and dealing. Amon-Ra St. Brown was in his bag. Jamo Williams was in his bag. Jameer Gibbs, Sonic and Knuckles surfaced. They did not show up last week. They didn't have the cartridge for the disc, but they showed up today and they were playing from start to finish. And it was personal because, to your point, Ben Johnson was a part of the organization. And we know how competitive and how serious they look at these situations where coaches leave. They wanted to give them a good old-fashioned case of BTA, and they did so from start to finish. And I can tell you this much, when Jared Goff is at home, there at Ford Field, you better book him because he usually balls out inside the confines of their home stadium.
Another example of that, Pat, schematically, what did they do so well today? It felt like the Lions running through and past zones all day long against this Bears defense.
They did what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And they got back into their bag. Yeah. I know this season it was all noted that Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, the coordinators are gone, but they found their niche today. And I don't know if it was because Ben Johnson was in the building today and they wanted to show him, oh, we still can do this thing. Yeah. And they went out there and put 51 points on Chicago Bears defense. That's just embarrassing.
Yeah. The starters were still in for Detroit.
Mm-hmm. And, it didn't end poorly. Like, we're talking about a little revenge or whatever. It did not end poorly between Ben Johnson and the Detroit Lions. He could have left Detroit a couple of years before. Right. He did not. So everybody was cool. But you are coming off a game, if you're the Detroit Lions, after the Green Bay Packers whooped you in every phase of the game last week, right? And everybody's already crowning the Packers, and it may actually be warranted after what we saw on Thursday night as well. But you have these questions. Dan Campbell got asked in a press conference about what he was doing with these coordinators. He's like, it's been one game, guys. Hold on. Ben Johnson, yeah, he's really good, but we're pretty good ourselves. And so I don't think it was necessarily revenge. I don't think it was directed at Ben Johnson, but it was directed around Ben Johnson and everything that surrounds him.
Maybe at the greater NFL that we are still here and we are still dangerous as the Lions roll over the Bears, a no-doubter 50-plus points in their Week 2 win. I got to start with Russell Wilson here, guys. 450 yards, 30 of 41, 3 touchdowns, and that decision at the end. Pat, we're sitting here wondering if it's going to be a tie, if Russ is going to lead the drive, or if Russ was going to do something like that, and he does that.
Oh, man. Russ had an awesome game going today. 400-plus yards. 2 touchdowns. Three touchdowns. Finally got neighbors in the game. I mean, he couldn't do anything wrong until that last drive. I mean, who was he throwing it to?
Malik. It was supposed to be Malik.
But it looked like he threw it straight to the Dallas Cowboys safety.
It sure did look that way.
I mean, he just threw it up there for prayers. A bad decision by Russell Wilson. That's how the Giants end up losing this ball game ultimately.
And for me, I like to apologize to Russ because last week I felt like his well was dry. I feel like he didn't have any water left in the well, and today he had jugs of water for almost the entirety of the ball game. But to your point, you just got to be cautious. And our very own JJ, Jonathan Jones, said coaches don't like ties. First win. I mean, Russ played outstanding. The Giants in totality played great football, but in the words of the great Bobby Bowden, before you learn how to win, you have to learn how not to lose. Yeah. And that's the issue for the Giants currently, and hopefully they can get that bad vibe out of the locker room.
This is going to make for an interesting suggestion box on the talk radio airwaves out here in the tri-state. How do you hack up the day here for Russell Wilson, who had his most passing yards of his career and a fatal flaw at the end of this game.
It was, you could really see it coming, and we could see that coming there in overtime. To expand on what B-Mac was discussing, players and coaches hate ties, and for some reason, to me, a tie is not bad. It is certainly much better than a loss, but at some point, somebody wants to get out of that tie. They want to go out and go get that victory. And boy, 0-1-1 feels a whole lot better than 0-2 that the Giants are right now going back home. This is also a really long day for the New York Giants. Remember, they started at left tackle, James Houston.
Oh, yeah. Who 100 yards of penalties?
100 yards worth of penalties on one drive. There were 4. We've never seen anything like it. They benched him immediately. The Giants get Andrew Thomas back. We did see Jackson Dart. This is how long of a day it's been for the Giants. Jackson Dart actually got his taste of NFL football. He got in for a couple of plays, and they sprinkled it in, and there you go. It'll still be Russell Wilson's show in Week 3.
Hate is a strong word, but on the list of things that we dislike in football, ties may be on there, and oftentimes the kickers are as well. But Mac, you just read off the distances of Brandon Aubrey kicks. When you have a guy like that you know you can count on, you get to midfield and you essentially have points. What sort of luxury is that, especially in these game-winning moments for a team like Dallas?
That's always like having the answer to a test. It doesn't matter when the test is going to be presented to you. You know you have an answer. And that's who Brandon Aubrey is, especially anytime you get near midfield. I'll say this right now, guys, and I'll say this with conviction. Brandon Aubrey is the best non-quarterback offensive player in the National Football League because of that fear that he provides. If you're playing against the Dallas Cowboys, you have to protect midfield. Most kickers it's the plus 45 is where that normal comfort range is. But for Brandon Aubrey, he's on the opposite end of midfield, and he is ready to go. And the thing about Brandon Aubrey, guys, when he attempted that 64-yard field goal, you all knew he was going to make it. If you were rooting for the Dallas Cowboys or if you were rooting for the Giants, if you didn't have a dog in the race, you knew this was good. I mean, he's one of the best offensive weapons we've ever seen in terms of his position and how consistent he's been. And how many times has he won ball games for the Dallas Cowboys in his early career? Outstanding day for Brandon Aubrey, and they needed him, and he delivered.
He is so much better than whoever the second best kicker in the NFL is, right? There's a huge gap and delta there. That's incredible. Also, with the new rule, with the new kickoff rules, if it's a touchback, you get it out at the 35. The Dallas Cowboys need one first down. And they can get 3 points. That is the weapon he is.
It's Curry range. You got to guard him when he's in the stadium because he's been spectacular and he's a winning piece once again here. Pat, when we look at the Cowboys through 2 weeks, it was the 0-1 start, but we loved some of the stuff we saw from Dak Prescott. Here they're in a divisional war with the New York Giants. How do you grade out the Giants the Dallas Cowboys through 2 weeks?
I give them a solid B. Honestly, they should have won the Philadelphia Eagles game. Dak played outstanding, delivered the ball all over the yard. Wish CeeDee Lamb would have caught a couple of those passes. And who knows what would have happened in the end of that ball game. Then they came today, they fought. They fought all day long. The momentum was never really on their side the entire game until the fourth quarter, and that's when the tides kind of changed in that game, and that's when
game theory became part of the conversation.
And that's when Dallas was able to, lean on Brandon Aubrey and kick those long-distance Curry range field goals to help them win this ball game in overtime.
Mac, it's how the story goes. We're latched on to these storylines for so long. The offseason tumultuous once again for Dallas. You lose your star edge rusher, but when you look at the want to and the fight they've presented through 2 weeks, it has to be something that you're enthusiastic about if you're a Dallas fan.
Yeah, you have to. Now, I'll say this. You were more encouraged about week 1 than week 2. Even though you won in week 2, it's because of the defense, how well they played against a more electrifying, more consistent offense than the Philadelphia Eagles. No one thought Russell Wilson and New York Giants would come and just have a field day against the defense based on how well they played. But the most positive thing was they found a way to win. The great Dick LeBeau, who coached me in Pittsburgh, Hall of Fame coach, Hall of Fame player, he used to tell us this all the time. In terms of that first Monday meeting, Pat, before we got ready to get into our game prep, depending on the teams we were playing, he said, one thing you know about a bad team, they will find a way to lose a ball game. If you just stay patient.
Took them a minute in this one.
If you stay patient, and I'm not saying the Giants are a bad team. They're just finding ways to lose games, unfortunately. And that has been the issue for them in years, not just this season, but going back. You know what I mean? So that's something he always emphasized into this game. Worst case scenario for the New York Giants, it should have been a tie.
Yep.
Worst case scenario.
Worst case.
They find that way on their final offensive play from scrimmage and in this one, and instead they find their most points in a loss since 2015. As for Dak, now